Pat Sobeski joins us, Mayor of Woodstock, to talk issues coming up at City Council. This is the Web Chat with the Mayor. And first and foremost this week, Pat, the city looking at getting in line for solar project developments. What can you tell us of what the city's trying to do here?
Well, Woodstock Hydro has been involved with putting solar panels around the city. They have 3 on the rooftop of the Hydro building, different models so people can understand what each model does. But we've also, Woodstock Hydro has installed, there's one out in the back of where the Moose Lodge is, there's one on by Ralston Purina. And so what's happened now is, because the city of Woodstock owns Woodstock Hydro, the 2 staffs have been working together, and we've identified 17 predominantly rooftops in the city where these solar panels could go. And so the city and Woodstock Hydro have made a joint application, and all we've done at this point in time is got our names in the queue. And then if our application rises to the surface, then we'll have to sit down and decide, okay, exactly how many of these would we do over what length of time and everything else. But we've identified it as a direction Woodstock Hydro should move, and so why not take advantage of the city of Woodstock rooftops? So our application is now in the queue.
Yeah, and so what would these solar projects be used for? Just to supply energy to the city's facilities, or would you put it back into the grid and make some profit?
Well, both cases. For example, the one at the Moose Lodge, what we're doing there is we're feeding it into the Moose Lodge as an example of maybe how a facility like that could take advantage of it. So some of it would come back into the city, but right now it depends what the tariff is. So if the tariff is 45 cents, then we'd probably sell it to the system for 45 cents and buy it back at 8 cents. So sure, there's that economics involved with it too.
Yeah, and it is a long list, so who knows if this project will ever see the light of day. Good one?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Wanted to talk about the taxi bylaw. The cab companies came forward at the last meeting and asked to include in their bylaw that governs them a $120 charge if someone gets in their vehicle, they're a little too drunk, they throw up. They want, some money to clean that up, and you guys sent them back to the drawing board a bit. What's going to happen at this next meeting? Well,
what happened was it was deferred because all we had from them was just a short sentence indicating what their presentation was. The clerk put together a recommendation not to do it. In the mind of the city clerk goes beyond what we try and regulate in the industry. However, Councillor Tate thought it was important that the industry spokesperson come forward and present their case, and so that's what's will be happening on Thursday night. He'll be indicating this is different than someone throwing up in a Tim Hortons restaurant late on a Sunday morning. So they want to explain their case and why they think it should be included in the bylaw. But it's a difficult thing to assess. But anyways, we're giving the industry an opportunity to come in and do a presentation.
And you'll say, thanks for bringing it up. I'm on a roll today. The last thing I wanted to touch on is, I have no puns for this one. The art gallery is looking at governance options, and council set to decide on this Thursday night?
Yes. Karen Houston, who has taken over in charge of both the museum and the art gallery, has been surveying other art galleries across the province. And the only one that has a model where city council makes all the decisions, we have an advisory committee, art gallery advisory, but they can only advise. All the decisions from can we do a fundraiser, all those decisions have to be made by city council. So Karen, in doing the survey around, discovered we're the only ones that have that set up. Most of them have a separate, distinct board of governors that manage the gallery, and so that's the direction that we'll probably go. We've put this out. The stakeholders have come back. This seems to be the model that they like. It's not quite like the police board or the library board, which have specific provincial acts to follow, but in essence, it moves a lot of decision making, with the exception of the final budget approval, away from city council. So things such as fundraising, purchasing of art, all those things can be done by a board, What council would do with this is council would then be able to dictate, this is the membership that we'd like to see on the board. We'd like to see someone with some legal experience, some business experience, some accounting experience. Plus, we want to see people from the arts and culture community bring these things to the table. And by setting up a board, just like with Hydro Board, you recruit from beyond just the city limits. It allows you to do that. So you can bring in expertise. The board could have a small board and set up subcommittees to do special things. So it moves the governance to the people who are involved with it. And then at the end of the year, they come to City Council for their budget approval. So it's a governance model that I'm supportive of. It's a direction I think we should move the accountability to people who know it. But again, the final budget approval each year comes back to council. So I'm hopeful that when you get the expertise in there, we can start setting measurable goals. And then when they come back, they can say, look, this is what we've achieved this year. So it's a direction we're going. And again, we're finding that being our existing setup, it hurts us when we go and apply for provincial grants and everything else, because we're competing sometimes. We are competing with private sector galleries, and there's a view sometimes with these federal and provincial granting institutions. Well, you're owned by the city of Woodstock, and so they've got deep pockets, so you can survive without our money. So it's a direction I think we have to move.
Sounds like a good direction. We'll look forward to that and much more coming up Thursday night at Woodstock City Council. Thanks for joining us, Pat.
You're welcome.